anyway, I'm out here practicing for the St. Clair tournament. And I just caught this monster. We're going to put her back. And I guarantee you she's 6 pounds. I didn't weigh her, but she is a toad. Look at the size of this thing. This is gigantic. And St. Clair produces some really beautiful smallmouth. And caught this on a 20-pound line on an RPM flipping stick. Just burning a big old War Eagle spinnerbait. Look at that, ain't she pretty? But it's gonna be a good tournament. A lot of guys making a long run up to Lake Huron. A lot of guys will stay right here in St. Clair, throw drop shots. I'm gonna let her go. So I'm back from the Lake St. Clair Bassmaster Elite Tournament, where I didn't do so good. First day I only had a couple good fish, and the second day I had almost 21 pounds. I'm back home. There's a golf course in here, so I apologize for the lawnmowers in the background. But the first day I chose the power fish. Power fishing meaning I was chucking and winding as fast as I could go. Square bill crankbaits, looks like a perch. Norman crankbait, looks like a perch. Small Norman crankbait. Well, this is a bandit, but like a Norman. Big gaudy spinnerbaits by War Eagle. Man, I catch some giants on these. So obviously in practice, I caught some really big fish. Fishing this way. One day I had like 3 5-pounders and 4-pounders. It was crazy. Unfortunately, first day of the tournament, the wind changed on me. Coming out of the east, and it was coming out heavy. I mean, 15 to 20. So out in the middle of the lake, there was 4 or 5 footers. So I was fishing grass 10 foot or less, 20-pound gamma line, RPM flipping stick, casting as fast as I could, just burning it in, and bam, they would just slam it. Fogging up a little bit. It's hot down here in Virginia. So I made a mistake. The weather changed. I did catch a couple big ones right off the bat, but then I had followers that I could see, and I had a couple other good ones on that came off. But I knew right away that they were not biting the bait properly. So I was fishing in the anchor bait area. That's where the tournament was won, but it was won out in the middle, drop shot. And the waves were so big out in the middle, the other part of the lake, that I didn't have time to beat my way out there and do the drop shot deal. So next time, I'll be more prepared to make the switch. And watch out for that east wind, because when it comes out of the east, you catch the least. Giant was the start. And I know slime coat, but that's the way it goes. We'll get more. So I put chemicals on them and lots of air. I don't want these hooks in my mouth. It took a long time, but we finally got number 1. That's a 5.5. That's a disappointment. I thought I had a jog in it. This is a drum. When you hook one of these, you think you got the lunker. Dead on where I caught a firecracker. Man, the bite's tough. I only got 2. You ain't got 1? Huh? How many you got? Yeah, the big one I caught, he hit it. He hit it again. And man, I so on day 2, after a really disappointing first day where I cannot believe I didn't catch a limit. So I had 2 good fish power fishing and lost the other ones and only had 7.5 pounds. That's really hard to get up and go back out the next day knowing that you can't make the cut. So I decided to go offshore where I had some good areas where a lot of the guys were out there drop shotting, and I chose to use a Get Bit Baits tube on a drop shot. 10-pound braid to 10-pound fluorocarbon gamma. I threw this all day long, just watching for the fish. Coming up on the forward pointing sonar, making short little pitches, just sat in my chair, took my time, was 5 miles out in the lake. There were boats everywhere. Didn't matter, there's so many fish out there. And those fish were, 16, 15, 18 foot deep. That's deep for Lake St. Clair. Here's something to remember when a front comes through. If the fish are deeper or in current, they're less affected by the fronts. So the first day I was in 10 foot or less, those fish come up there to feed, the fronts come through, and the majority of them move back out. So poor adjustment on my part. First time I ever went to St. Clair was in 1994. I've been there, a bunch of times since then. But sometimes as fishermen, we tend to make mistakes over and over, or we make new mistakes. That's why it's fishing, not catching. So here's the bait. These Get Bit bait tubes, this is a skinny tube, and they come in a lot of different colors. And man, he makes some really awesome baits. So check it out at Get Bit Baits, made in the USA, every one of them. I know a lot of guys were throwing, flat-tail worms and stuff, but I caught some really nice fish on this tube. So that's it on Lake St. Clair. I've learned a few lessons. I hope this video helps you if you go there. Remember the keys. Always have deep water fish. Be ready for the wind and the traffic. And don't be afraid to finesse, because the majority of the people in the top 10 were finessing. That's Rick Morris, RPM Fishing. See you on the water. That's what they're catching out here. That's what I should have been doing yesterday. Wow. Break me off. Oh! Did not like that. Musky time. Look at this. The size of that.
plan is to get another one fell for the tube. What am I getting? That's a 5. Acted like it was 7. Okay, now that I had a heart attack and a stroke. Unbelievable. It's 4. How big's that one? It's got somebody else's bait in his mouth. Broke somebody off. And the weight.
so here's the St. Clair River and the lake where we just had the Bassmaster Elite. This lake is situated between the Detroit River and the St. Clair River, which has channels coming out in it. See these channels right here, here, and here. They come out into the lake. They make current, and it attracts the fish, obviously, in the summertime, and the bait fish. This is Anchor Bay. This is where the tournament was won, out in the middle. There's a lot of good fishing along the shorelines. That's what I was doing the first day, fishing shallow. Right here where I have it circled is where the takeoff was. This black line is the Canadian American line out there. So we were not allowed to fish Canadian waters. We only could fish American side. So all the guys that were drop shotting were out in this area here, including me on the last day when I had almost 21 pounds. Then it comes down and it chokes down into the Detroit River, which goes down to Lake Erie. And if you come to the top, a lot of guys were fishing in these channels, fishing the breaks. And if you follow this channel, St. Clair River, all the way up, goes all the way up, about another 20 miles to Lake Huron. We were allowed to fish Huron, but I don't think many people made that long run. So this place gets really rough from the wind. And this map's 20-some years old. It's kind of crinkled and it's got marks all over it. And there's more Canadian water over here that you can't see because the map has some issues. But anyway, when you fish here, you need to make sure you have a deep pattern. And deep on this lake is 13, 14, 15, and maybe 18. The only place that's really, really deep is the shipping channel where the large ships come through, headed down to Detroit River and Lake Erie. So I had a shallow water pattern the first day, and a hard east wind really hurt me. I was all over in here, and I should have had more drop shot fish out here in the middle. And the second day I just went out here and did drop shot and had the better day. So there you have it. I mean, most of the top 10 were out drop shot in here. Tournament was won in here. There was some shallow water guys doing okay, and John Cox was obviously fishing all these channels from all the way up to the top and all the way back. He really knew his water well. So also, boat traffic is an issue. There's thousands and thousands of large boats here, cruisers, like you wouldn't believe. It gets so rough on the weekends, you better be prepared for that. Anyway, so I'm going to show you some footage of me catching some power fish. Only a few that day. Crankbait mostly, a little bit of spinnerbait, and then some footage of just sitting in the chair, catching drop shot fish out in 17 to 18 foot of water, just seeing them on my graph and pitching to them all day long.